Hi, everybody. This is Dear Mamas. Well, hi, everybody. This is Dear MamaSal. And today we're going to have some fun, hopefully. We're going to be having a game of Who Am I? What's going to happen is that I'm going to ask a series of questions and we'll see who can come up with the answers as to who it is that I'm talking about. So hopefully that's going to be fun for some of you. I am just getting a couple of screens ready, which I can't do until I'm actually live, so just bear with me a second. And then I'm going to be doing just a little bit of housekeeping news and views about people. Hi, Ireland. Until we have everybody on board, or at least the usual group on board, and then we will start. So first of all, hi, Jody. Welcome. And Jody, did I see that you and Lionel's anniversary? That's bad English. You and Lionel have an anniversary on Sunday, did you say? um, Ireland, I wanted to ask you, just so that I can update everything. Did you get ready for the writers group? I know you had some things you were going to do before then, but I just wondered whether you are on track with that. And, because we'd love to support you in that. So anyway, let me just get this side of it working. I haven't had any update from Erin this week that I know of. And I'm pleased to report that Lauren's doing really well. It looks like she's going to be getting home pretty soon, which I'm really happy. Hi, Trip. Good to see you. Welcome. Jody is doing an incredible job of coping with all that she has to cope with and looking after the admin of our live stream. So way to go, Jody. Thank you so much for all the support. I know that this is a really difficult time medically for you, and you are just such a rock for us all. You are wonderful. I mean, I hope you know that. Oh, by the way, before I forget, no, let me get to that later. So Kerry is doing great. She's continuing to do an incredible amount of work in getting her negative calories every day. Gosh, I wish I could do what she does. Or I suppose I could if I did as much as she did, right? And if you don't know how you get negative calories, it means that you, for example, if I allow myself that my goal is to only eat 1,600 calories, yeah, right, is only to eat 1,600. But if I do enough exercise, if I do more than 1,600 calories worth of exercise, I will end up with negative calories. Does that make sense to everybody? So, okay. So sorry to hear that. Yes, I think that an abortion referendum will always mean that people lose friends. You know what I mean? Because if you tell the truth. I don't know, that's why they, I guess, socially say don't discuss politics or religion or abortion, I guess, in social settings. But it's because you can lose friends that way. So I'm sorry for you for that, but you are entitled to your opinion, whichever way it is. And the only way that we create change in this world is that we talk about these things, not that we keep quiet about them. So to me, I must admit that I quite often talk contentious subjects just because I think it helps us all learn a little bit more. So my best of luck to you there. It'll be interesting to hear how that vote goes. So I also wanted to give a heads up to Becca, who's done a great job about actually getting some help with her grieving. I don't know if you guys know, but she lost a brother recently, well, within the last few months anyway. And she's really decided that she needs to concentrate on grieving. So she has quit her job and is now working on that. So that is, it takes a lot of courage to do that. Wow, that's interesting. So can I quote you on that, Ireland? Just let me know if I can say that publicly. It was 3 months ago that she lost her brother. Okay, thanks, Jody. So Ireland's saying that not only has he lost friends over this referendum issue on abortion, but also family. Yeah, and that's also very normal. It's exactly what I said. Only by listening to one another's opinions can one progress. If everyone agreed, then we'd lay stagnant. I quite agree with you. And so, it's like, it's not comfortable. I've lost a lot of viewers, Ireland, just so that you know, because of having political discussions. And, I understand. I'd like to believe that I try and listen. If I've got a really staunch believer in something, I go out of my way to listen most times. And I think viewers here will have been with me when I've done that, even though they know I totally disagree with the issue. I will give them the platform to give their views. So I think it's really, really important that we can do that in the right, setting. I obviously won't be doing it on game day. So, I shouldn't have done that. Well, I try to do it honorably, but I must admit there are days when I just roll my eyes and go, it's beyond me. I don't understand. I don't understand how anybody can think that's a good idea, but that's just my view. Well, no, not always, Ireland. There have been some days, I tell you, where I have been anything but level-headed. Yeah, some of us have to sit on our hands rather than say what we really think. But I always say, Ireland, one of the best broadcasts we ever had was when we had 7 different religions. It just so happened we ended up with 7 different religions, 6 or 7 anyway, in the room, and one of whom was a Satanist. We had a Seventh-day Adventist. We had, you name them, we had them, and we had a 2-hour discussion that probably was one of the best broadcasts I've ever done, just because we happened to have that mix of people come in that day. And, I set the ground rules that nobody was allowed to insult anybody, and you were allowed to ask questions, but you had to listen to the answer. Because I think often we ask the question, but we don't want to listen to the answer. How many of you are guilty of that one? I had an interesting experience this week. I went to lunch with a friend of mine, and during the lunch, I realized that I knew an awful lot about his friends. And that, that really was evident, because I'd go, well, how's so-and-so doing? And tell me, what's the latest on so-and-so? And I kept asking those questions and getting lots of feedback. And I was genuinely interested in getting the feedback on the various people. But as I drove home, I thought, how sad. I realized that he didn't ask me one question about my friends. And I realized that part of that problem was that he, I guess, hadn't taken the same interest in my friends as I had in his. So that made me a little sad in some way. By the way, I had a terrible thing happen, and I said I should actually talk about it on a broadcast. So let me do it quickly. I went to pay my half of the bill, and my card got rejected. Now, you know how embarrassing that can be. But I tried to just, take a deep breath and just go, okay, I know that's a mistake because I just paid it all down. It was the one day where I knew I just paid it all down and I had plenty of money left on my card, like enough for a couple of years worth of meals. Let's put it that way. No problem, Ireland. Anyway, so what I did was I said, let's put it through again. So we put it through a second time and it bounced again. Now, by now, I am a little bit embarrassed because you can probably imagine. Could I have got angry? Sure. But, getting angry about it isn't going to fix the problem. So I just did a bit of a dipsy doodle and paid with cash. Because my friend tried to pay for all of it, and I said no. We agreed to pay half, and that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, and I said to him, hey, if ever I need you to pay it all, I'll let you know. Which I thought, I wanted him to know. I appreciated the thought, but at the moment I could still afford to pay my half. So then I got home and I checked my account, and sure enough, my Visa was totally clean except for about $100 on it, I think. And so we knew that wasn't the issue. So then I waited and I phoned the bank. I phoned Visa the next day, or the bank, whatever. And I didn't know this. Did you know that if you've got a chip card, which I do, and the server swipes the chip card instead of putting it into the machine, that it will not go through? Did you know that? And he did it twice, and that's why it never went through. So, but this peculiar thing is that because it had never happened to me before, I didn't think to say, did you swipe it or did you put the card in? Because, they take the card away and they go and do all the stuff and they bring it back for you to do the final bits, right? And so I just thought I'd mention it just so that, everybody can be aware. If that happens to you and you're pretty sure you got money in there, then just make sure they did it the right way. Beth, congratulations, by the way. For those of you who don't know, Beth just told us her husband got a really nice award today, was it, Beth? As the Employee of the Year where he works. So I think that's absolutely wonderful. And Beth, I have a terrible confession to make. I still have your badge sitting here. I have not sent it yet. So just know that I will let you know when it's in the mail. And I need a bit of a push on that one. I'm sure you're very proud. So I thought I'd show you, I did a little bit of work this week in the studio. I'm beginning to get a little bit overwhelmed, little bit very. And so I thought it was time to go into the studio. So I made a couple of trivets, if you know what trivets are, things. And what I do is I coat them with engine lacquer. So high heat engine lacquer. So that's one trivet I made. And then this is another one that goes with it. Now, I've been waiting to get these going right. By the way, they're cork. But I actually been waiting to get these done because I wanted to do another seascape. So I have to get these colors mixed up before I can make them. That makes sense, doesn't it? And I'm inclined to mix up quite anyway. So this is what I wanted to paint. And it took a little bit of doing. Depends which way you like it. You can have it that way. Hi, Linda. So now I know that this will be difficult to believe, but this is after it went wrong. The very first look of it was very, very pale. And then I started to build up the sea colors darker. And then play with the foam. So it took about 3 different layers to get to this, but I was really happy with it when it finished, so hope you like it too. I have no idea. I've got to give it, I actually am tempted to put a really good coat of, varnish on this one. When I say a really good coat, I might even try resin. Never done that. But no, maybe I'll not play with that right now. I'd hate to ruin it because it really did come out. It's very interesting. Jody will tell you that whenever I go into my studio, I can do something like this, right? And I walk out, and I then say to Jody, "It's now in the hands of the drying gods." Beth, there's a reason why I don't sign my paintings on the front. Do you know that the person who wants this is going to hang it this way or this way or this way? You see, depending on who you are, you will hang it in different ways. So I do not sign my paintings on the front, they are signed on the back. All right? Unless I know the person. And in fact, when somebody says to me, "I'd like that one," I will ask them, "Which way do you like it?" "Yeah, I know, honey. But when you do what I do, then, it's like everything in life, Beth. Everything's easy and makes sense if you know how to do it or why. That's why you'll always hear me say, Beth, seek first to understand. All right. If you can, so you asked a good question, No, actually, you told me what I should do. Not, Beth, I need you to have a new challenge this week. Could I give you a new challenge? All right, so here's your new challenge, and Jody will tell you this one is difficult. All right, have you got a pen? You've done so much. I'm actually find it a little rude to ask you to do anything else. But anyway, seeing as you're growing at such a fast rate, I thought I should just add this to your list. All right, so here's the thing. Work very hard this week at not using the words must, should, have to, on anybody. So you should sign your paintings. Do you understand that's a guilt trip? You probably haven't ever thought about that, but that's actually a guilt trip. You should do it. Means you have failed because you haven't done it. What you actually meant was you might want to consider doing it. So that's what I'd like you to start wording it differently. All right. Say have you ever considered doing da 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 da? Not you should do it. So, and I have people who say to me, "Oh, you really must go and do X, Y, and Z." And I said, "No, no, I don't. Last time I checked, I'm an adult. I can choose. I don't have to do anything for you. You must go and see this movie. No, I might choose to, though. But there's no must about it. I'm an adult. I don't. And by the way, Beth, if anybody uses those words on you, be aware now. They're controlling words. Did you go and buy a new laptop? You missed a lot. Okay, so yeah, Beth, it's amazing actually how it changes your communication. And I will stop people and I say, "Did you tell me that I have to do something? Did you think I was your 5-year-old child?" Because the last time I checked, I'm an adult. I get to choose whether I do anything. And they sort of go, "Oh, I see what you mean. Okay." But they don't like it. And as Ireland will tell you, you can lose friends that way. But at least it's like, I just well, Beth, we all learn from each other, honey. Don't think that, this is why we came to do this, is so that we can talk about these things. Because, if we had controlling people in our life, then we will be controlled, right? And we will control others. Whereas now, Ireland, we like you much better for that. Yes, we can lose a lot of friends just by being that honest, right? Especially ones that want to control you. Yeah, very difficult. By the way, for those of you who saw me going house hunting recently, um, they just jumped the price up to the little place that I saw by 50,000. Can you believe that? I actually passed on the deal, but just so that you know, the offers they got must have been interesting because they actually put it straight back onto the market again a second week, but this time they jumped the price by 50,000. How many of you? Yeah, well, luckily I passed on it anyway. I don't know, there was just something something that told me to let it go. I want to tell you something. This was ridiculous. And you didn't even own the land. And it was already over. Anyway, it's a long story. But the thing is this, that I just want to tell you that sometimes you have to trust that there's a good reason why you need to pass on certain things. My question is, how does anyone afford to buy today? All right. I mean, I'm lucky. I've got some money, but I don't have a lot. And so rebuying for me is going to be obviously difficult, but I'm ready for it. We're going to start playing a game if you're ready. How many of you have got your game minds with you today? And just in case anybody is ghosting, and in other words, watching this, but actually not I'm going to give you that in a second. If you are ghosting, which is watching it, but actually not being in the chat, we welcome you and great to see you. And if you have a subject you'd like us to discuss, feel free to write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. And I won't mention your name unless you tell me that I may do so. If it's a really interesting subject, I might write back and say, hey, can I use your name on this one? Because it's really a good one. You deserve credit on it or something. But unless I get permission, I think everybody will tell you I'm pretty tough on that. I try not to mention people's names who have not given me permission to do so. All right, so time check here. I have the time at 23 minutes in. And today we're going to be having a game of Who Am I? And here's how it's going to go. I'm going to give you some facts about somebody, and I'm going to let you decide who it is. All right? Now, I've got a few of them. Did anybody bring their own version? By the way, if we get to the end of my facts, I will start giving some clues. Okay. Here we go. He was one of 4 children. No, it'll be from famous people. All right. He was one of 4 children. He described himself as the class clown. How many of you relate to that one? I didn't know this, but he actually went to an academically challenged school, which was something I didn't know. Yeah, that's right. His main focus at school was athletics, as he participated in football. Hi, Kerry, just in time. Football, basketball, and track and field. And I think track and field was his primary. All right. He was working both before and after school, selling produce, shining shoes, and stocking shelves at a supermarket to help out the family. He failed 10th grade. Instead of repeating, he got a job as an apprentice at a store. sorry, at a shoe repair shop, which he liked, but he couldn't see himself being there for the rest of his life. I can tell you that he's American. Yes, it was a very subtle clue. Because we would have called it class 4 or something. What was it? Fourth. What do we call it in Europe? Fourth form. Fourth form, right? Anyway, or whatever. All right, so I can tell you he's a comedian. Anybody want to start guessing it? And not Robin Williams, but a good guess. All right, this is going to really help you. He has been in the news a lot this year. That's subtle, as Ireland will tell you. He's American. Yes, Kerry, well done. It's Bill Crosby. And my last clue was he's been in the news for the abuse of women, which would have been a dead giveaway, but well done. Kerry gets a point. I knew Kerry was going to do well at this. And on that point, did you see that Weinstein has been charged? Yeah. And they put him on a $10 million bail. That's a lot of money. I mean, $1 million is a lot of money, but 10 million, that I guess for him, it isn't a lot of money though, right? And that is before they've still got another serious case going in front of the grand jury. So his troubles are not over. He's probably going to spend the rest of his life in jail. And how many of you believe that he deserves that? No, he's already out, Ireland. But I understand your humor on that one. Yeah, I wish I had 10 million to throw around. But how many of you believe that he deserves to be in jail for the rest of his life? Or do you think that it was acceptable behavior for his generation? Well, partially acceptable, I guess, and that he deserved some clemency on this. I'm really interested in people's view about this. Okay, so it's a really I think he deserves to spend the rest of his life in jail. But that's right, as does Bill Cosby. But I do also have to say that this was, during that generation. Luckily, it's not going to be a generation to come. The generations to come will be different. I'm just trying to get a bigger typeface for the next one going. Otherwise, I will get eye strain here. There we go. It's a bit better. Never acceptable. That's right. And that is the lesson we will now teach the next generation. It wasn't there for my generation, but gosh, I hope that every one of you have taught your children and make sure they teach their children. This is never acceptable behavior. But it's a power game again. All right. Let's see if we can beat Kerry this time. I've got a feeling we might not be able to, but here we go. Kerry loves these things. She's got a mind for these things. All right. First of all, he was a terrific mimic who enjoy doing wicked imitations of everyone. He enjoyed taking cruises in the Baltic. Subtle clue. He collected books by the thousands. And are any of you serious readers? Just as a matter of interest? Okay. It's not Robin Williams. Um, are any of you serious readers? Yeah. Do you write notes in your books, Kerry? The reason I ask that, not Salinger, no. Because this person never wrote a single note in any of his books. No, I don't either, but it's interesting that apparently people do because, I've noticed a couple of times that it's been mentioned that he didn't write notes in any of his books, which means that he truly respected the book, not just the content of the book, right? Some people have a book and it belongs to me, therefore I can write notes in it if I want to, which is fine. But other people go, this is a book, and it's like a treasure. All right, so he also loved films, both domestic and foreign. He would often watch 2 per night. And preferably musicals. Now, you will notice that this is in the past tense, so you know he's no longer alive. Ireland would have let you know that that was a subtle one. So I got this far before I let you into that secret. So watch out for these little subtleties here. He loved to whistle tunes, especially of great operas, which he memorized entirely. Not Hefner, not Roger Ebert. Remember, he enjoyed taking cruises on the Baltic was a big clue. If you don't know where the Baltic is, so here's your first real clue. He was European, not American. He was, are you ready? This is a giveaway. He was a mass murderer. Hard to believe when you hear all these other things about him. I love Ireland's sense of humor. He was a British conqueror cruising through the Balkans with bombs. No, not Jack the Ripper. You all know him or of him. All right, here's your final and most giveaway clue. He was German. It was Hitler. Well done, Jody. Okay, so let's go through this. Did you know he was a great mimic? I didn't know that. Hi, Alice. Okay, so apparently Hi, Jamie. All right, so I didn't know he was a great mimic. Did you? You guessed, did you? I'm sorry. No, actually, if I look at the feed, Jody's came up before yours, Kerry. On my feed. No, I know you shouldn't be laughing, but isn't it interesting? I didn't know he was a great mimic. I knew he was an avid reader, but I didn't know that he loved films and that he would watch up to 2 a night. By the way, I very foolishly Hi, Sharon. I very foolishly started, a new series on Netflix yesterday, and I started it late. I should never have done that. You see, the trouble with Netflix is you can binge watch. So I don't know if any of you have seen the series, but if you like mysteries, which I do, there is a new series on there, just the first season, and there's bound to be a second, called Safe. Do not watch the first episode unless you've got time to watch all 6. Or you've got very good self-control. Because I want to tell you that each time I'm going, "Oh, heck, I've got to watch the next episode now. I need to know what happens." And then, oh gosh, I got to, it was like watching Dynasty in its day. It's that, well, it was to me. And, it's not necessarily for everybody. And it's actually a British series, I believe. But it was really good. I haven't seen Westworld. Jody will remind me to have a look at that because she's very good like that. Okay, Sharon, no problem. All right, so how many of you knew that Hitler loved musicals? Did any of you know that? It's the same. I didn't know that Bill Cosby was academically challenged. So it's interesting. That's why I like doing these things. Yeah. He hated jazz, really. I didn't know that. I didn't get that far. How can anybody hate jazz? Well, okay. All right. So are we ready for the next one? Is anybody enjoying this? Are you learning anything from it, or should I stop? Remember the clues. There are lots of subtle clues. Yes, that's why I didn't mention the art island. I especially left the art out because I thought that was too big a clue. Okay, here we go. And the next one. I actually haven't put that many together. I just did a few so that we could get an idea of it, so that, maybe we can do another one. All right, here we go. This person met Charlie Chaplin when he was 6, but has actually no memory of doing so. Anybody want to guess it yet? This person works out nearly every day and says, "Yes, I know how annoying that sounds," which I thought was cute. And then says, "I love fast food." Now, that's a good thing to know. If you work out every day, you can afford to eat fast foods. Now, this is something I didn't know at all. He collected toy soldiers when he was young. Which I really couldn't imagine that for some reason. Now, this fact really threw me. Oh, Oscar Pistorius? Is that who you're thinking of? The Blade Runner guy? Anyway, so yeah, no, it's not him. But interesting guess. He does not drink any hot liquids, no tea or coffee. It's still in the present, so you know he's still alive. I don't drink any hot liquids, no tea, no coffee. And I'm going, how does he wake up in the morning? And this didn't surprise me. I like to assume the best about people until I'm proven wrong. How many of you also try to do that? How many of you try to believe the best in people unless they prove you otherwise? Yeah, Charlie Sheen, no. No, not Charlie Sheen. But, interesting possibility. All right. So here we go. I'm now going to give you what I call some bigger clues. This is a really big clue. I've got 3 really big clues, and knowing you guys, you'll get it on the first one. He said he started going gray in college. No, not Trump. Okay. Not Clinton. Not Leno. All right. This is another really George Clooney is a good guess, but it wasn't George Clooney. It's interesting you should say that, because I thought, who else do we know that was gray very early on? Yeah. Okay. So here's the next clue for you. Not Corey Feldman, who is a comic from England. He has a hysterical laugh. I mean, he's got one of those laughs that if you listen to him laugh, you cry with laughter listening to him laugh, or even watching him laugh. So he's gray-haired and he has a hysterical laugh. Wow. Okay. And this last one should give it to you if you haven't got it already. If not, I have one more I could give you. His mother was a Vanderbilt. His grandmother, rather, sorry. His grandmother was a Vanderbilt. Second point to Jody. Anderson Cooper. Now, did you know, also, I forgot to mention this. Did you know he's very disorganized? How many of you would have seen him as very organized? I don't know why. Whenever I've watched him, I've always thought that he probably is a OCD, and apparently you don't know who he is. Okay, he's a big news guy here on CNN. If you never watched CNN, yes, I figured OCD as well, Sharon. It's funny, isn't it? How wrong we can be. Apparently, he's very disorganized. He says of himself. You forgot about his laugh. Yes. Okay. How about that he never drinks tea or coffee? Don't you find that amazing? By the way, another thing I didn't say was, do you know that he struggled with dyslexia as a child? I didn't know that either. So, yeah. So hasn't he done well? And for those of you who know who he is, would you agree that he has a hysterical laugh? I don't know about you, but I watch that man when his producers will make him read something that he isn't expecting. And he starts to crack up because he hasn't, they will actually put something on his teleprompter. Yes, I also heard he never washes his blue jeans. ever, because somebody told him. You've never heard him laugh, Kerry? Just Google Anderson Cooper laughing and see if you can find a YouTube clip of it. Because I want to tell you, when that guy starts to laugh, I cry with laughter. He's got this laugh about him that is just insanely funny. I mean, it's like for somebody who's a very serious looking, anchor on a news thing. Pat, hi Pat, your son laughs just like him. What a beautiful thing to have that in your life. I mean, I find him very authentic is the word I'd have to say. I think the way that he can laugh in public, the way that he does, is amazing. I just can't believe that he never washes his blue jeans. Somebody told him very early on never to wash your blue jeans. I don't know what he does with them to clean them, but he never washes them. So if anybody can find that fact out, that's a factoid I'd like to know. Because I guess they lose their color or something, but apparently they were never designed to be washed. He buys new ones. Oh, really? So he wears them a few times and then buys a new one? Wouldn't you like that sort of money? How many of you going, boy, I'd like to be able to do that. Never worry about washing, just have a little ongoing order at the local store. Yeah. Make sure you got 6 pairs. Wow, isn't that interesting? No, oh, okay, you don't know. You're just getting. No, but that's why I heard him do an interview once. Yeah, he is rich. There's no doubt about that. And, the fact that he is related to the Vanderbilts would make you think that he is multi-million-dollar rich, but I don't think that he inherited the fortunes in any way. Does anybody know about that? You got 5 beers, yes, rich. I've got enough coffee to last me for the day. I'm rich. I keep thinking about Pat having that laughter in her life. That must be beautiful. Okay. So moving on. Let me see who I can find for you. Yeah, I had a feeling that he wasn't privy to any of. I don't know. Because his mother got ostracized in some way. I think out of the Vanderbilt family. Did his brother commit suicide? I didn't know that. Wow. See, that's why I love to do these things. I love learning things about people. All right, so here we go. This is your next one. His name was Carter, really? Ah, that's sad. Was he an older brother or younger? We'll find that out in a minute. Older, you think? Okay. That's not like Jody. She will confirm that. Jody is a factoid person rather than a observation person. So we will wait for the factoid on that one. So interesting stuff, though. I mean, it's interesting the things that we don't know about people. Now, this one could be easy for some of you if you've done your work. So let's see how we do. She spent past tense, so you know she's dead. She spent most of her early childhood in foster homes and orphanages because her mother was committed to a mental institution, which actually I didn't know. At 16, she got married rather than return. Yes, well done. Now, did you guys cheat that, or did you just happen to know it? By the way, I was going to say that. Please be honest enough not to Google these things and do it, otherwise it's not fair on people. You just knew it. Okay, let me continue then, because there were some interesting facts I didn't know myself, but guess that you guys did. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that at 16, she got married rather than go back to the orphanage. She suffered from endometriosis, which, if you don't know, is a condition where the tissues of the uterus lining leave the uterus and then attach themselves to other parts of the body and grow, causing great pain, irregular bleeding, and quite honestly, in some situations, infertility. I suffered from it, so I am well aware of the pain of it. So just so you know, I didn't know that she had that. She was also a stutterer. Did you know that? And was trained out of it when she went to Hollywood. Ireland, the fact you think I might have a pattern is interesting. Nice one. Thank you for that thought. So I didn't know that she stuttered. Now, did you know that she was on the first cover of Playboy? Thanks, Jody. So apparently, Anderson's brother Carter was older than him. Yes. And did you know that Hugh Hefner, when he died, chose to be buried next to her? Which I found really interesting. He had reserved the plot next to her. Now, that's a factoid I missed completely. Now, this next one really blew me away. Did you know that she was proposed as one of the candidates to marry Prince Rainier? Luckily, apparently, yeah, I didn't know that. But I'm so glad he chose Grace Kelly, because I think she was perfect for that part, if you know what I mean. Now, some of you who've studied this story probably know this already, but she was found with a phone in her hand, nude, face down on her bed when they found her. So anyway, I thought you'd all enjoy some of those facts. By the way, if you guys are watching this and not regular viewers, you might be watching it ghosting or whatever. If you actually enjoy learning things about people and stuff, please feel free to click the bell here somewhere on your screen, and that will let you know when we're going to do a broadcast. We do 3 a week. And to also know that we have both Facebook and Twitter and all the other social media. But really good idea to be following on Facebook and Twitter under Dear Mama Sal, because that's where we put announcements up of the times of our broadcasts. All right, so I have the next one ready for you. Are you ready? He was the first in his family to attend college. No, not JFK, but he studied to be a lawyer. Although he originally opposed violence, he eventually deemed it necessary, but he never condoned violence towards civilians. Yes, he was, Ireland. He was a president. And he was married 3 times. Not Andrew Jackson. Not FDR. Okay, so let me give you your big clue to save you a lot of mindset. He was not American. The world is bigger than America, people. Not Churchill. And that would have been that he became prime minister, not president. All right, so you're obviously in need of a better clue. You're going to kick yourselves you didn't think of this one. The US didn't take him off their terrorist watch list until 2008. No, his name was not Crap. Not Hussein. But a good guess, that one. He was not American. Mandela? Well done. Yeah, he was convicted of treason was my next clue. And of course, that he was South African would be my last one. Yes, well done, everybody. Yeah, that was, so how about that? I still think that's an incredible story, right? You get convicted of treason, spend your life in prison, and end up as president. That takes a bit of doing. All right, so please continue not to Google and cheat this, because it's, it's interesting to actually make our brains think a bit. And I have one more. Are you ready? Yeah, actually, Ireland got that one first, and Linda was right behind him. So that's 2 for Ireland, right? Showing off now. I believe you. Okay, here you go, people. This one might be easy for some of you. I don't know. Let's see how good your general knowledge is. Number 1 clue. Having been conceived out of wedlock, she lived with her grandmother until she was 6. I didn't actually know that. She also was conceived during a one-night stand. I didn't know that either. I think this is really cute. I can see it happening. 2 days after she went into kindergarten, she wrote to her teacher saying, "I don't think I belong here because I know a lot of big words." And the teacher agreed, and she was skipped to first grade. I didn't know that either. She became an honor student and was voted the most popular girl. Not Mariah Carey, not Britney Spears or Emma Watson. When she was 14, she became pregnant and gave birth to a baby boy who died shortly after birth. I didn't know that either. Not Celine. And then between the ages of 9 and 14, yes, Linda, well done, Oprah. And let me finish the clue. All right, between the ages of 9 and 14, she was sexually abused by a distant relative. And then my big clues, if you hadn't got it by then, would have been she is a multimillionaire, and then that she started her own TV channel. Now, I don't know about you, but boy, did she have a difficult upbringing. And to overcome all of that and become who she is today, I don't know. That gives me a lot of hope for a lot of people. So, yeah, well done, Linda. I was very proud of that. So, let me ask you something. Why did you find it interesting to do this exercise or this game? Actually, she started her own TV network, I should have said, right? Okay, why was it fun, Ireland? That's what I wanted to discuss. Why do you find it fun to do quizzes and because it's fun to participate? Okay, Jody, that's a good thing. Any other reason? And I really want you, I'm very serious about this. You like to challenge your mind. Yes. I'd like to suggest that if you are a Dear Mama Sal follower, the chances are you do like to challenge your mind. Use the old noodle. Yeah, that's so true, isn't it? Yeah. So, that's what I want you to be aware of is that I think, all right, so Ireland, very interesting. I'm a very competitive person. And I'm winning. Time. It's over, Ireland. You 2-1, right? Sharon likes it because they're facts that she didn't know. All right. So she likes adding to that. How many of you could, go to a cocktail party or a function or a lunch this week, and somebody could say, let's see how well you, let, make some factoid comment, and you're going, oh, funny you should say that. I believe that was Hitler, and didn't he watch 2 movies a night? And really loved musicals. I mean, wouldn't you love to be able to just add that in, Or, they're talking about Oprah or they're talking about somebody else. And, you could now add these comments in and sound very well read. So, what I wanted to just congratulate you on, though, is that in order to enjoy this, um, you just confirm the fact that you do love to learn. I always find it amazing. I don't know if you've noticed that we have a rotating viewer base. All right. So, okay, so Alan's saying that if you actually gave that information, hi Jonas, good to see you. You know, so if you gave that information, would they think you're a low-key terrorist? I don't think so. I think it would say that you bother to, learn things in life. So let's see how we do. I'm going to give you one clue, and let's see if you can remember. Let's see how we do here. Who do we know that doesn't drink any hot liquids, no tea, no coffee? Let's see how well you retain the information. It's a day off. Yes, Anderson, the gray-haired dude, right? Coop, otherwise known as Anderson Cooper, right? And who appeared on the first cover of Playboy? And who is buried next to her? 2 questions. I want to see how smart we are now. So, who appeared on the first cover of Playboy back in 1953? I remember it. Yes, Monroe was on the cover, and Hugh Hefner chose to be buried next to her. Yes, I wonder whether they had a thing. Right. So next one. Who was a great mimic and enjoyed doing wicked imitations of everybody? See how clever you all are? And who said to her kindergarten teacher, I don't think I belong here. I know big words. Not Monroe, no, Oprah. So you understand that one of the things about appearing to be I'm amazed that didn't sanction you for that, Alan. It's just that you have an interest in people and things. All right. I think it's very important. I've always said to myself that I am a lifelong learner. How many of you feel that way? I think I'll be learning stuff for as long as my brain continues to function. And I'm pretty sure that afterwards you allowed it. Okay, Kerry. Kerry, you have to be careful because they can punish the channel for that. In other words, they will rate it as a adult only type channel. So perhaps we can not allow it in future, people. Yeah, so to me, it's like, please don't ever stop learning, keep learning. How many of you know that I had to learn how to do this? This didn't come naturally. All right. It's taken nearly a year of learning to be able to do this. And yet some people will think you just throw paint onto a canvas and you will get it. True? Do you understand? It's like, so when you see that people have a gift, yes, I can remember. I probably got them behind me here. I still, do you know something, Jody? I still love doing it on paper because that's how I started, and it's so forgiving. But what I'm doing is I'm using a lot of my paper ones to make the pendants and things because they're interesting colors and stuff. Have I got any of the paper ones? Sometimes I have them. Yeah, I got them here, Jody. I thought so. For those of you who want to know how did I start to do that? And that just happens to be a C one. Isn't that interesting? So I would challenge you to ask yourself every year, what have I learned this year? What have I learned today? I have a personal, yeah, that's how it began. Yeah. And how many disasters did I have before I learned how to do that? That's the question. And yet, you look at it and doesn't that look easy? you know, so I look at it and go, each of us has a talent. And maybe we don't even know what our talent is yet. I always remember the fact that when I first got up to speak in public, uh, I I really I really didn't know that that was a talent. Do you know what I mean? I'd done drama at school, and you know, and normally ended up with some interesting parts. They never gave me the lead part because they knew I would. They knew that I would do something to make the audience laugh. How many of you can imagine that? You probably would not want to be my drama teacher because whatever part I had, they knew somewhere along the line, Sal would do something and the audience would be watching her because she had that ability to have that happen, and that that she would end up making the audience laugh. So we could be doing a really serious play, and we did a couple. I just rolled my eyes at my right? Or do something, and the whole audience would burst out laughing. And the drama teacher would go, "Sal, you did it again." I went, "Really?" And they said, "Yeah, but leave it in for when we do the broadcast, when we do the next performance, because it needed a laugh there." Um, so Wow, that's interesting. Alan says, I consider it a talent in the sense you know how to conduct thine self, listen to that, to improv jokes when it's getting too serious and contain their attention whilst engaging in serious topics. Wow, thank you for that. I really appreciate that um, feedback. So, oh, Jody, thank you. But by the way, that reminds me, for any of you who like the work that we do and think it's worthwhile, and you're listening on the replay, there is a donate button on the DearMamaSal.com page. And for those of you who may want to contribute to what we're doing but don't have the money, also know that we have, if you are using Amazon at any time, if you go through on any of the links that are on any of my videos, that actually helps me get credit. It doesn't cost you any extra, but it helps give me credit. And therefore, it's a way of thanking me without actually spending any money that you wouldn't normally spend. Ireland, I think that is the job of a host, don't you? When you, I think it's really important when you are, with different people. For example, Linda, you would be surprised that I was talking about you at lunch this week. Is Linda still here? No, she isn't. Rats, what a pity. Um, but, for me, it was like really important to talk about Linda this week. All right, so Alan's saying that he's casted. What sort of channel do you have? You see, to me, I think there's a lot of what shall I call it? There's a lot more to casting than most people think. I've always said to people, if you've got a thin skin, do not try being a YouTuber or a caster. I mean, how many of you would agree with me, right? If you high reactor to things, this is not for you, because this is way more cruel in some ways than real life. Right. So Jodi's saying that she could never do it. Why, Jodi? Oh, poor Kerry. Kerry's saying that she needs to avoid the sun more now because of the antibiotic. Yeah, I want to tell you something. For somebody that was a sun bunny for her whole 20s and my whole life, in fact, I know to keep out of the sun now. And who can believe that I spent all those years in the African sun without sunscreen, and I've still got this skin? I mean, really. Yes, Jodi's saying, she's too thin-skinned and emotional. I don't think you're too thin-skinned or too emotional. I think that part of you hates to see injustice, or, you consider it unfair when people are rude to me or whatever. But, how many of you are learning not to be quite as reactive to those sort of things as you were maybe when you first started to join the channel? How many of you are learning more control? You see, what I'm trying to do in my life is to learn how to control these things for myself. In other words, I don't want to overreact. Remember the story about the credit card, all right? I could have thrown an absolute fit saying, I really, yeah, bring me the manager. I know I got money in my account. Da 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 da. You've messed up. Da da. I could have done all of that. Wait. Okay. Let me try and see if I've got this right, Ireland. Ireland's saying your emotions make you strong, Jodi. If you consider this, emotions dictated our reactions. Anyone that went against you has done so by emotion. If you're more emotional, you're more powerful. So here is what I'm saying. People, Ireland, I've had this discussion so many times with people when they have said to me, boy, you really are overly emotional. And I go, really? When you want me to control a crowd of 7,000, you don't mind the fact that I am emotional at all. That doesn't worry you. And yet, when I choose to go against what you believe, or I choose to react to something you've said that is painful, when I choose to react to that, because it is a choice, suddenly I'm too emotional. The fact that you hurt me is why I'm emotional, but the fact I let you hurt me is my issue. Yeah, I think that's true of all of us, though, Kerry. And that's part of what I wanted to have this little discussion about. You see, if I did 25 questions about each of you, actually, that would be interesting to do. We should actually, over the course of the next month or so, maybe I'll do it. I tell you what I will do. I will do it as a, what do you call it? Competition type thing, where I'll get people to send in fun factoids about themselves. And then, and then we'll see how many we can guess. How many do you think we'd need? I was giving you about 6 or 7 clues on people. Yeah, Kerry, I think that we're all stronger than we believe. Um, and have you read that famous quote from Mandela about that? Because Mandela wrote a really famous quote about that, where he said, it's not that we are scared of being a failure. We're scared that we might actually be as successful as we imagine we could be. And that is what stops us. Do you get what he's saying? Is that we don't stop for fear of failure. We stop doing things because we're scared we might actually succeed. Because part of us knows that maybe we could do a lot more than we're doing. How many of you understand that logic? And I will, yeah. And when I read that, I used to have it, funny enough, I used to have it in my bathroom so I could see it every day, regularly, every day. Really? So that's what Westworld is about? Okay, I will definitely put a double note. I know that Jodie's going to remind me as well. Yeah, I love to explore those sort of things. And I mean, that famous question that you need to ask yourself, it's a head wrecker though, not something you can binge watch. Okay, well, and, that's it's a head wrecker. Because it really makes you think, right? So to me, I think it's really important that we look at these things. How many of you know that I am struggling at the moment. I'm struggling at the moment between not wanting to leave my home and needing to leave my home. Those are, one's a want and one's a need. And so it's a really difficult balance to there's the part of me that doesn't want to finish packing everything up because when I do, I'm going to have to go. And there's the other part of me that goes, you need to get your rear end in gear because you need to get this place on the market and sold. Can you understand that I've got this dichotomy? I think that's what they call it. When it's two opposite dichotomy is the two opposite parts of a situation. Can you understand that dichotomy? Both sides are fighting for control of me. So it is very scary stuff. Yeah, it's like weighing scales, so what happens to me is, no, I don't really want to do this. Yes, I have to. Yeah, okay, now I'm doing it. No, I don't want to leave yet. So it's like, can you see the balance there? And by the way, can you see that I need to keep them both in balance? I need to acknowledge both sides of that to be healthy, that it's okay not to want to go. So I've started actually making a list of the things that I believe I will miss and work out how I can recreate them in my new place. Because that's really important. For example, when I was looking at houses and I see older bathrooms with old basins and stuff, I'm going, yeah, well, that's going because I want a waterfall. And I want another waterfall sink, don't you? Right. In my mind, I'm going, yeah, well, that has to go. I want a waterfall sink. Or, I see, a regular big fridge freezer, and I'm going, yeah, well, I need the open it up and the orchestra plays one, that I've got. I mean, I'm totally spoilt for fridge freezers now. I need the French doors with the LED lights flooding in, and the music playing. It doesn't, but it feels like it should. It's like the opening of an opera or something. So there's certain things that I'm realizing I actually am more attached to than I thought. Some things I'm quite happy to let go of. But there are certain things where I'm going, and luckily what I've noticed is that they're all doable things. Now, the things that are not purchasable, if you like, the things that I can't change are needs. I need light. How many of you relate to that? If I'm in a dark place, my mood is dark. I definitely need light. And it's interesting because the present place where I live, that I own, has an incredible amount of light in it. Even though, it doesn't look like it would have. If you look at it from the outside, it doesn't look like it has a lot of light, but it does. And that was one of the things that drew me to it. Wow, it is so open and light. It felt light. So I know I need that, and that's a need. Yes, you need light and open as well. All right. And I'm noticing that I don't know if any of you saw the quick clip that I put up yesterday, but I've actually finished tidying up my living room now, I think, just about. I'm nearly 100% finished. And, I even removed the rug in the room because I know from now going and seeing other properties that the properties that look biggest and brightest and lightest are the ones without any rugs in them. So I'm sort of taking half the rugs out as I downsize here. I've also noticed that, well, thanks, Jody. It's difficult to do. Like, where's my stuff? I'm a knick-knack person, right? And it's just like, yeah, where's my stuff? It's in a box somewhere. Yes, Kerry, I agreed with you. My mood shifts dramatically if it's claustrophobic and dreary. So to me, it's really important. I'm now considering maybe even buying an apartment. And here's what I realize. I will consider an apartment if it's a corner unit, i.e., it's got more windows, and if it is on the top floor. Why do I need it to be on the top floor? Let's see how well we do on this one. I've just realized you can see where all my boxes are here. And if you look this way. No, it's not about light. The reason I want a top floor is then there's nobody above me. Right? Therefore, I know I'm not going to have people walking above me or dropping things above me or whatever. Yes, it's a noise thing. Now, it sounds pretty funny from somebody who's half deaf, but noise is a real factor for me. I'm actually a very quiet person. Surprisingly so, I'm sure sure you will agree. But I'm really a very quiet person, except I do run television quietly. But I run my television most of the time without sound. I just want to see what's happening in the world. I don't necessarily need to hear it. I want to see what's going on. I want to see what's happening with that volcano. Yeah, so Chip agrees with me. All right, that you'd always want to get the top floor as well. Yeah, and so I'd rather get that. If I'm going to go, I'm now considering maybe getting an apartment and stretching the money a little bit. Now, Yvonne came up with a really interesting concept. She said to me, "Have I considered going into independent living in an old age home?" Now, that's really a scary thought. In other words, that you go to an old age home, a good one, where they serve 3 meals a day, like a hotel, and you don't have any rates and taxes or anything else, and you don't, and you probably have house cleaning once a week, and there are all sorts of sort of things like that. And they organize trips out and, to places. And, there's part of me that actually listened to her because she said, you are a people person and, you would love being around different people and teaching them things, which I thought was a good point. Now, the question is, how much does that cost? And would I have enough money left to last out the rest of my lifetime if I started that now? That's the other thing you have to think about. Yeah, I'd be running the place. Yeah, I know. And how many of you can see me in their art studio going, okay, fine, this is how you do it, people. But my problem would be the rules. They are bound to have more rules than I want to cope with. How many of you value your freedom? You see, I look at it and go, I valued my freedom all my life. I left home when I was pretty young. Um, yeah, I left home at 18. I have lived on my own for 25, 30 years. But I still love people. It's not that I don't like people. I'm interdependent on people now. Yeah, I think that I am a little too independent right now. Although I could do a lot of good helping people. Um, so there's part of me that goes, I need to find. Yeah, it seems limiting, although there are some that are very good on what residents can do. So I think maybe I'll go and have a look at a couple. How many of you would be interested in that? Go and see, what actually do they offer? But I was looking in my area, they start They start for basic. In other words, you don't need any care at all. You're capable of doing your own. Yes, they're pricey here too, and that's why I thought I'd maybe have a look at some. They start at about 2,600 a month. Now, you can say, boy, that's really expensive, until you work out that is including. Wait, Chip, work it out first. First of all, you don't just do the math. You don't have to tell me. Just do the math. How much do you spend on rent or mortgages? How much do you spend on rates and taxes? How much do you spend on food? How much do you spend on, um, all these different things? So you start adding it all up. It actually isn't that expensive. It costs me that to live here. That's what I look at. By the time you've paid, your rates, your taxes, all the other things, um, I could, I'm not that far away from there, and that's why you think about it. Now, me, I'd have an issue because I'm allergic to garlic, and I'm sure that I'd be forced to eat very bland meals because I have an allergy to garlic. But, knowing me, I would manage to convince the chefs that not to punish me that way. Yeah, so the thing is, it would be interesting to see what you get for the money. And I was pretty surprised that it was pretty basic what you get for the 2,600. So I'm probably not ready for it yet. But I certainly would like to consider it when I am ready. I'd like to have enough availability so that I could do it. Do you know what I'm saying? And I wonder what happens if you run out of money. Scary, if you think about it. Okay, so that was one thing. Now, tomorrow, I've got an interesting thing happening. For those of you who are regular viewers of mine, my friend Marnie is coming tomorrow to help me. And we are probably going to go. I've made a major decision with the downsizing problem. Um, my next goal is to get into the garage again, where I still have stuff lining the sides, and get everything off the shelves into the center. And then, as these boxes that I've already got packed, that they should go into the garage and fill up the shelves because I know they're done. Do you know what I mean? Those boxes that are still on the shelves, I haven't looked at, and half of it's got to go in the garbage anyway. So what I need to do is to get that stuff off the shelves and get it sort of piled into, that's the garbage pile, this is the keep it pile, and then start putting the stuff from upstairs downstairs. That's quite a major step forward. But I realize I'm starting to get to that point. I had no idea how long this downsizing takes. And the idea of going up and down the stairs, I have found that you can slide a box downstairs if you want to. Right? It's like there are ways to do things if you really want to do it. So my goal is to get down into my garage and get it set up ready to do this, but I need help because I need to be able to climb up a stair and pass things to somebody else that they can put it down. I want to tell you something, Jody. If I hadn't been doing it, I wouldn't understand how much work it is and how sad it is in lots of ways, because I keep uncovering things that are not as I thought they were. And I go, wow, it's difficult, Carrie. I want to tell you, it's very difficult to do. I've been here for close on 20 years, and you can imagine I'm a craft person and a hobby person and woodworking and all these things. You can imagine how much stuff I've got. And the trick now is to just quickly get, if I can, to get everything boxed up so that if I decide I haven't got room to have this hobby, I can throw those boxes away. Do you understand what I'm saying? That there are certain hobbies, if I can get each hobby into a box, I might say, okay, the chances that I'm ever going to do candle making again is 0. Let me throw that box away. Just the whole box. Don't let me open it. Let me just throw the box away. Do I think I'm going to continue to make magnets and pendants and stuff? Yeah. So a lot of my artwork that I did at the beginning, I'm keeping because they've got some really nice colors in them that I can use for my pendants. Make sense? So that I would hang on to. I've now got to the stage, for example, that I will need to get some bigger boxes in. I've been working with banker boxes up until now because that's how I like to do it, because they always stack so neatly. All right. And it's so easy to stack them like that. However, I realize now I've got some big things I need to put away. This is an interesting thing. I wonder if I can turn my laptop around. Let me take that out for a second. Okay, I just want to turn my laptop around to show you something. Can you see all my blooms there on the table? Now, anybody else would throw those away, but they have history. They are from my one tree out in my garden, actually my front garden, that I have been watching over the years. And I have some blooms from when it first started to bloom, when the blooms were this big, and I now have blooms that are this big. All right. Oh, I want to tell you something, Kerry. I get ocular migraines. I totally get it. So to me, that's history. I don't necessarily want to throw my history away. And they got color in them, and they've been with me forever. And there's part of me that goes, I love having those in my different rooms because they are real, they're not fake, and they have memories to them, if you know what I mean. Oh, by the way, I wanted to ask before we go too far down this. I don't have anything planned for this evening. So my question would be, is there any subject or any broadcast you'd particularly like me to do this evening? And the reason I say that is because I've got to go out and quickly go to the shops this afternoon, and I'm going, yeah, I wonder what I would be talking about this evening. Now, I've got all sorts of ideas, but how many of you enjoyed this, what we did today, and would like to do a few more of those? I mean, I just really am open to whatever. Okay. Well, to me, it was interesting for me to do it because I'm going, well, I really didn't know that. You prefer topics. Yeah, we've done a lot of topics recently, though, Chip. So I wanted to actually throw some fun stuff in. Yeah, that's okay. I understood. I wanted to throw a couple of fun ones in here because we've had some pretty serious topics recently. I really wanted to do a topic coming up soon, but I think it might almost be too serious to do. But I keep having these ideas about the topics I'd like to. Is there a topic you'd like me to talk about, Chip? So, to me, it's like an ongoing process where I have this list and I can sort of go to it when I'm going, okay, I don't know what to talk about. It's okay, Kerry. We love you as you are. We actually don't mind that you have an off day. I have an off day regularly. And I want to tell you, Kerry, I know that you've got more than enough to cope with, but I have started eating again. I'm out of control on it. Um, I know what's causing it, and I don't seem to want to control it. Do any of you relate to that? It's like I need to get control back, and I, it's like scary to me that I've been so good. I've started biting my nails again. It's just like, yeah, we know there's a lot of stress going on, and apparently I'm not handling it well at a subconscious level. I feel like I'm handling it well on the outside, but subconsciously things are changing and I can feel it. So that is a scary part for me. It's not who I normally am. So I'm hoping tomorrow when I'm with Marnie, she knows me, has known me for 30 years. Yeah, Jody, I guess I need a 2x4 every now and then about doing what I need to do as opposed to what I want to do. I've got to the stage where it's a bit like you, Jody, right? Which is you're having to do things that you don't want to do because of your medical situation, but you don't really have any choice. You have to do it to look after your health. What health you have left. And so I really can see that each of us has our own, I want to say, cross to bear, in that way. And so I need to get more responsible again about doing what I need to do and then reward myself by being allowed to go in to the studio and do some artwork or something. I must admit that this week, yeah, ocular migraines are a form of stress, They're normally anxiety or stress related, and you know what causes them, right? Does anybody not know what an ocular migraine is, just in case anybody doesn't know? Do you get the split vision as well? And do I gather you only get it in one eye, not on both? Okay, so Trip, and anybody else who doesn't know, it's important that I always like to ask that question because I shouldn't presume that everybody knows. I didn't know either until it happened to me one day. I was busy, Chip, one day just at work, and the next thing I knew, my vision split. It was like, you know, the prism that you get if you're looking through a crystal glass or something, that the when you get the um, rainbow effect, right? Where that prism happens. And what happened was it was like my somebody taken a cookie cutter and shifted my vision. Like on one side it was here, on this side it was slightly different, and in between it was like this prism of light. Can you sort of understand what I'm trying to describe here? Because it's difficult to describe. And it's like wherever you look, it moves with you. It's like, you know, you've got slightly different vision going on in two different eyes. So the interesting thing is, for some people, it comes with a really big headache. For some people, they get nauseous with it. But the ocular, that's to do with the eyes. The ocular part is the split vision. And even then, people get it in different ways. You see, Kerry's saying she almost gets it in her right eye. I get it in both, or I get it so that it affects both. Let me put it that way. And so it's very disconcerting. Okay, Kerry, just so that we can make sure people have options here, how do you get rid of it? How do you get rid of yours? All right, Jody gets hers in the right eye. You know, I've never really thought to check whether it's in both eyes. I'll have to check if next time I get one. And Jody gets hers with nausea and a headache. I get mine with nausea, without a doubt. That feeling, I don't actually upchuck, but I definitely feel nauseous, and I get a pain at the bottom of my right, the left side, as you look at me. So, where do you get the pain of the headache? I get mine lower here, down here. No idea why. It's got to be a reason. And it's about the blood vessels getting constricted. You're not getting enough blood, I guess. Why do the blood vessels get constricted? Because of the muscles tightening, right? Oh, Beth gets hers at the top of her head. That's interesting. So, right, we have different reactions to it. That's very interesting. Yes, Kerry also gets hers at the base of the skull. Okay, that's where I definitely know that's where mine is too. So you get an ocular migraine through MS? I didn't know that that was part of MS, but I'm sad to hear that for you because it's not fun. Yeah. Do you actually throw up though, Kerry, or do you just feel bilious? I must admit, I'm very fortunate. I very rarely. Okay, so yours is just a regular migraine, or are you saying, all right, just a regular migraine from lesions in your brain? I don't think that's a regular migraine. All right. I don't think regular migraines are to do with lesions. I could be wrong. For those of you who suffer from migraines, I don't think that it's normal that they're lesions, but you guys know more about it than I do. What's the difference? I guess that's the other thing that people need to know. How do you know you're not just having a headache, that it's actually a migraine? What's the difference? Let's see how we do. Kerry gets cluster migraines. Okay, what does that mean, Kerry, to you? Again, because people listening to this or watching this on the replay, they might not know. And so let's find out how you would describe a cluster migraine. Okay, so Beth, remember she has MS. So Beth says that she ends up throwing up for hours. That's really sad to hear. That's never pleasant, is it? I'm glad I don't have that. But what I would like to do is to find out, yes, for Jody, it's an aura. That's right. And flashes of light. Yeah, that's my problem as well. This aura thing, we get the halo effect and flashes of light. Yes, it's like, ugh. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. So now then, waiting for Kerry to let us know what cluster migraines feel like. So, but why is it called a cluster if it's only in one part of your head? That's what I'm trying to understand. Yes, that's what I'm saying, Chip. Does anybody? How do you get rid of your migraines? Because that's exactly where I was going to. First, let's identify what they feel like, and then how do you get rid of them? For me, to get rid of a migraine, I need to go to bed and sleep it off. I need to stop, preferably turn the television off and stay in a darker room and not subject myself to too much stimulation. Now, in other words, turn the brain off. How many of you relate to that? Yes, Beth's also saying she stays in a darkened room with an ice pack. You're right. Chip also says the same thing. All right. So, the main thing is to get yourself out of thinking too much. How many of you know that a lot of your problem is because you think too much? Wow. Jody says she wears sunglasses in the house and sleep as much as she can in a dark room without noise. Yep. All right. Carrie says she takes aspirin and drinks caffeine and covers her eyes. All right. So by covering your eyes, you have no external stimulation. That's clever. You cover your eyes with ice? Yeah, wearing sunglasses inside. Now, I must admit that my regular glasses are my sunglasses. They automatically change. Okay. So Kerry's saying no ice on the eyes, a cool washcloth. Yeah, that's right. So um, that's a really good idea there. I never thought to wear sunglasses inside. But the main thing is, I would think the main thing is if you have them, the sort of eye shades that you have, some people wear when they're flying, right? Me, I couldn't do that. But if you have that, or yeah, just literally, I think part of the reason a cool face cloth is a good idea is multitasking because number one, it's cooling the blood vessels down, but also, it's blocking any external vision. So that's a double thing. I do know I have to turn my brain off, stop worrying about things, stop trying to fix things, stop trying to, you know, do anything, just stop. Which is, I think, very difficult in this day and age. Okay, so I want to know if I got somebody that's really good with a calculator. I just wanted to make sure we do one thing so you guys can understand something. And this is much easier to do with somebody, so I can talk through it and somebody can be hitting the numbers for me. Oh, Carrie's saying she puts on music low to make her focus on something other than the pain. Beth has an emergency shot that she takes. Yeah, but your migraines are different, Beth. Yours are lesion migraines because of your MS. So, but that's interesting that they have such a thing. I didn't know that they had shots for migraines. Yvonne suffers a lot from migraine, by the way. So do I have somebody that's really good with a calculator? Or do I need to do this while I talk? I just wanted to talk some reality here so that you guys could understand. Okay, let me do it manually. For those of you who were talking about the independent living, let's say that it's $2,600 a month. Okay, that's all right. I can do it. I just didn't want to do it and keep my eyes away from the camera. All right, $2,600 a month times 12 months. So that would cost over 31,000 a year. Okay, to live in independent living, the cheaper one. All right. So how long do you think my lifespan is likely to be? Do you think it would be not when I say lifespan that I, won't need full care or something? So do you think in today's reality, I'm 70 now, do you think 20 years or would be realistic? Presuming I, live that long and don't have any major hiccups along the way. What do you think my lifespan is likely to be in this day and age? Any input? All right, 15 to 20 years. Jody says 25. So you think I wouldn't need to be in care until I'm 95? Really? I think I will need care before then. So yeah, I think I will need care if I make it to 90. I'm going to say 20 years. Okay, so let's put in 20 years. Oh, now that took away my first thing I thought of. I waited too long. Okay, let's do this again. So we're saying 2,600 times 12 months times 20. Okay, people. Yeah, exactly, Beth. That's exactly what I was doing. So I'd need $624,000 available to me, and that's without buying birthday presents, buying any artwork supplies. How many of you are going, yikes? No food would be supplied in that 2,600, but not snacks. And I wouldn't own my property, right? You're just renting the property, you don't own it. So, I don't know about you, but I'm not in a position to fork out 624,000. How many of you have that sort of money lying around? And that's why I won't be going into care now. I need to be able to make my money work a bit more first. Yeah, exactly. So you understand the reality of that. It sounds good in some ways, but the reality is that's without going to lunch with anybody. That's without, getting in my car and putting gas in it and driving down to see Benji and the kids, Benji, Judy and the kids. This is about just literally for the right to live in that establishment. So there is no way I can afford to do that. So, having said all of that, no, I'm not kidding you. And by the way, in 10 years' time, how much will it cost them? Probably the same, but for 10 years less. That's what you've got to be aware of, which is the inflation. By the time I get 10 years from now, the cost of doing that will probably be about the same. So do you understand that the prices increase? Yes. So now what I've got to think about is when I buy now, this is where my thinking has changed. If I buy now, I'm probably going to need to get an apartment because I think the chances of apartment appreciating in the next 10 years or 20 years is greater. Although I lose a lot of my independence because I'm now in an apartment place. I also lose that sense of community that I wanted in I was really looking to go into a manufactured home type situation, almost like a small tiny house type, not quite tiny house, big tiny house, because it has a sense of community. So I didn't want to be locked into an apartment where I didn't know, where everybody is on their own. And so there's some difficult decisions to make. Can any of you understand how troubling that is to make the right call on this? It's like really quite scary. And if I get a manufactured home, I don't own the land. So therefore, it's not appreciating at all. It's the land is what appreciates. The value of my home, hi there, Sakura. Is the cost of living high where you live? Very. Let me tell you something. I live in suburbia. And to give you some sort of idea, I don't live in a very, this is Vancouver area, all right, outside of Vancouver. I don't live in a really ritzy part of town, but it's pretty good. To give you some idea, to buy the house across the street from me just went on the market at 1.2 million. Now, I don't have a house like that. I have a half duplex. But who's got 1.5 million these days? Now, the house two houses up from me is on for like 1.5 million. So this is just like the ideal thing would be able to afford to stay living where I live. How many of you can understand that possibility? But here's my concern. My concern is things are beginning to go wrong that need major money. All right. And so therefore, I don't know about you. I don't want to be in a position where I don't have the money to be able to fix the things that need to get fixed. So, there are lots of different elements going on here. And I just want to make sure you all understand what I'm trying to deal with. What is house hacking? I don't know what that is. Have I considered a temporary roommate? Yes, I have. But I don't think that would really bring in enough to warrant the difficulties. I love having somebody downstairs. I live my own life. I'm not dealing with them every day or, in a day-to-day basis. So yes, but even so, I would lose my freedom. So it's a really difficult decision. And I realize that's part of why I sort of go through these moments about the downsizing. And I sort of stop myself because I don't know quite what I'm going to do. there are too many maybes on this. The other thing is this, I would love to be in as I nearly bought a really pretty mobile home, manufactured home, but then you don't own the land. And so to me, it's like, wow. Yes, Chip. And that's something I give thanks for every night before I go to bed. You know who said this to me one day, and I thought it was such a good quote. Benji said to me one day about something else we were talking about, but he said, first world problems. And I said, what? He said, first world problems. We only have this problem if you live in the first world. Not if you're third world country, you don't have these problems. So yes, I am very fortunate. And what I think about a lot is, what does everybody else do? I mean, I'm struggling and I've got a house to sell. What happens to people who haven't, and so it's thank you. And I have to keep reminding myself how fortunate I am in that. I don't know how people do that. I guess, no, that's the other thing I thought about there. What if I just rent? Yes. Well, I have a 2-level duplex. And you don't get a basement suite for under $1,000 a month here. Rents can go, average rent is probably 1,600 to 2,000 a month. Yeah. And I'm on a pension, so there's no way that would work for me. So let's work, so we're back to I would need 630,000. Do you understand the problem? Now, there's one possibility that I thought of. Well, you don't live in Vancouver, right, Beth? That's pretty obvious. If I could find a 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, for $550 a month, I'd probably be looking at it. So I'm going, yay. So here's the thing that I wanted to say. Do you understand that that is part of what I'm struggling with on a daily basis? How many of you know that I have challenges to do this? All right, so look at that. Carrie pays $770 for a 3-bedroom, 1-bath home with a fenced-in front and backyard and a detached garage. So basically, what you're saying is move out of town, Sal. Maybe go to Mexico or a third world country and take your money and see what it buys you somewhere else. All right. Jody's saying she pays $970 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. Okay. So you see, yeah, I've been looking at 55 plus. Yeah, that's why I'm saying maybe I should consider. So, yeah, but I have to become an American to do that, honey. I can only visit for so many months of the year. I can't stay there full time. Now, part of me goes, maybe I just get myself a really big 5th wheel. And then I can rent a pad for $700 a month. Actually, if I'm really clever, I will buy 2. That would be clever. Live in one, rent one out. But then I'm going, where would I paint? How many of you can see me buying this gorgeous, 5th wheel? and and a new truck to pull it. But then where would I paint? And how many of you want to throw paint around in a brand new fifth wheel? But I should go and look at them, right? I g Oh, no, wait a minute, Sakura. What about I get a small thing to pull behind the fifth wheel? Yeah, but I would need to become American to do that. That's what you're forgetting. I live in Canada. Yeah, I love that. But so kind of you all. Thank you so much. So I think I need to actually just go and have a look at some tiny houses type things. The problem that you have though is I can buy the smaller house, but where do you put it? Because land is so expensive here. Yeah. Do you understand? That's my problem. My problem is I'm going to have the money to buy, but what do I buy where I can own the land underneath it? That's the struggle. Um, so I may be forced to get an apartment and live with other people's rules, but my gosh, I want to be top floor and corner. Even if it means I have to put everything into storage while I find it. How many of you can see that I would be willing to do that? So I think what I would like is some support that I do need to actually get out of the house and go and look at what's available in fifth wheels today and go and talk to the tiny house movement. I think minimum wage is still about $10. Why are you asking? I think it's 10 or $12 an hour here. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I'm not 100% sure, Beth. I've been retired for a little while now, so I don't know how much it changed. It's not as important to me as it was. All right, people. So I need to go and live my life. I need to go and get some stuff. So thank you for the time. I hope you enjoyed the game. And I hope that you understand, and this is the point that I was trying to make, that everybody who joins the broadcast has got their own stuff that they're dealing with, right? Including me. That we're all dealing with stuff and we're all trying to do this balance between what's going on and what we need to do. And that's why it's so important that we just support one another. So, with that, I will be back this evening, and I may just hold an open broadcast this evening if I don't get time to actually put a serious framework one together. So I will do that. I'll give myself permission to do that. We did it for many years, and there's no reason why we can't do it again. But in the meantime, I'm going to go and get some shopping done, and then I will try and put another one together. All right, everybody. So here I say to you, remember about the game. The reason the game is interesting is because we all learn something from it, right? I'm certain you all learned things about those famous people that you didn't know before. Plus, that now gives you extra knowledge to learn a lot more about people. And so, again, I bring it back to the fact I went to lunch with somebody. I knew far more about their friends than he knew about mine. And why is that? Because I take an interest in his friends. So that was my message for you today, which is be interested in your friends' friends. Do you understand that? Because there is no greater way to tell somebody I care about you than if you can know something about their friends and know why they're connected and at what level they're connected. I hope that makes some sort of sense. All right, this is DearMamaSal saying, remember to look after one another, but remember to look after yourself. but also stay a lifelong learner. It's really important for your happiness. This is Dear Mama Sal saying bye-bye for now.